All right, guys, this is today's announcement. Just wanted to touch base with you real quick. If you notice, I haven't done as many announcement videos this week. Just trying to balance out the things that you're watching and I'm doing. I have finished out your civil rights lessons, and next week we're going to be dealing with your presidents during this time. So JFK, LBJ, Nixon, and Ford. And then after that, we're going to be talking about Reagan and Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, and even Trump, because that is the order. And we try to at least go up to current day as much as possible. Now, the interesting thing is about this whole time period is that we're dealing with right now is that typically we would have 2 weeks, more weeks of class, and then we would have a review week, and then we'd have a week of exams. And we're not necessarily having that, right? And so one of the things that we're trying to help you with is trying to figure all that out. We're still getting some information about that as well. So once we have more info about that, we'll go from there. You will have an exam, at least for my class, that is going to be a teacher-made exam, and I would like everybody to do it. And you will be able to use your notes, but it will be a comprehensive exam. It'll be something that will go span the whole semester. Because I think it's important to at least have that as well. And as I said, you will have the exam that you will do. And just remember that you need to do it, because even though you're not getting a grade, it is still being collected. And so this impacts you as far as the amount of things that you are able to do in the future. Meaning that if you choose not to do some of these things now, then in the next few years, you may not have the ability to go on to a assignment, or not an assignment, but a class that you want in the college level, because you didn't choose. And that really is big in the math and the science area, but it can impact you in the history area as well, because if I say that you haven't done the majority of your work in this last quarter, you may or may not pass on. Obviously, I think you would pass on into the next group. But the whole idea is, if they say, hey, is this individual ready to go into a college level class, that's an online class, or even a college level class that's face to face, but you didn't do the work that was assigned even during this time, then I can't necessarily in all good conscience say, yeah, this person is going to definitely handle this this material, and they did what they needed to do. So that really does impact. So don't just think that, oh, I'm just not gonna, because it's not graded. Guys, everything matters. If you're going to do it with excellence. It's learning process is not about grades. I've talked to you about that before. It's not about the grades. It's about you being willing to do what is in your best interest. All right, and your best interest is to do the things that are going to help you in the future. All right, not just now, but in the future. So let's talk real quick about what do you got today. We do have a Zoom meeting today at 1 o'clock, and I'll be sending that out here in just a little bit. That is our meeting and password, so please make sure you put that in. I've posted part 3 of your civil rights lesson, and we hopefully you've watched some of those, and do that. If you didn't have a chance to complete your assignments from before spring break, I've put those in the list as well. Please go ahead and get those finished out, and spring break blog is below. And I want to focus specifically on an assignment that's going to help identify specific individuals and events that stand out the most in helping gain rights for Americans, not just African Americans, but all Americans, because this is really one of those things that I want you to identify. All right, this is called the civil rights activity, and I'm going to bring it out here in just a second. The term civil rights is often used to discriminate, to refer to discrimination faced by African Americans, but the idea goes much deeper and is much more broad. So I give you a definition where it says guaranteeing equal social opportunities and equal protection under the law, regardless of race, religion, or other personal characteristics. All right, so many people think that civil rights and civil liberties are actually the same thing, and they're not. They're different concepts, and I'll give you a couple of links that really do a good job with explaining what those differences are. Hopefully most of you have heard the I Have a Dream speech, or at least have referenced it, but I would dare say many of you have actually not listened to the whole thing or read the whole thing, because it's actually different than a lot of people think. All right. For example, I gave you a copy of the speech, and I gave you the link to the speech itself as far as the sound bites of it. But for example, what does MLK mean by cashing a check or a promissory note? And if you didn't know that was in the speech, it's in there. Okay, what does it mean? What is the Bank of Justice, and what is MLK actually calling Americans to do? And how do you think his quote, "Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred," and how does this actually impact our racial relationship in government and society today? So I really want you to delve into that a little bit. So your instructions for this assignment, okay, this activity, you're going to conduct research on various civil rights movements in America throughout the 1900s and 2000s. So you can go all the way back to the early 1900s. You can go all the way back to what to what we're going on today, all right? Whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement, whether it's the movement for equal rights amendment with the women's rights, okay? This is, you know, very broad in the ideas here. Okay, I want you to go expand out a little bit. Choose the top 10 events. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order of importance or impact, but choose the top 10 events that you feel have had the most influence on America and allowing civil rights to be addressed. So not necessarily changed, but brought to the forefront of national attention. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have had to change anything, although many of them did, but it definitely needs to have been brought to the national attention in the forefront of people's thoughts. You're also needing to choose 5 individuals who, and I got to change that, or should be considered the most influential in fighting for civil rights causes. And these are people that you feel, based on your belief systems and your beliefs, have had the most impact. And you know, you might be surprised in who you find. Okay, so once you have decided your top 10 events and most influential individuals, you need to create and submit a product that provides me with your choices. So you have the freedom to choose any way that you do this. Well, you can use TikTok, you can use a video, you can use a presentation thing that we've already talked about. Okay, I don't care how you present it to me, but you do need to give me the top 10 events and the top 5 people who have impacted civil rights in America. Okay, and again, it does not just have to be African American civil rights, because we need to be broad, because the same rights that African Americans were granted in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that goes beyond just African Americans. All right, that goes outside of the realm of just African Americans and their rights. Okay, so that is going to be due next week. And again, I'm trying to give you opportunity to do things that are beneficial for you, growing you in your understanding of these concepts. Okay. So that is what we've got for today's announcements, and I hope that to see you today at the Zoom call. All right, see you there. Take care. Bye.